Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here. What was the dumbest thing a player rolled for and succeeded? Part 2. The rest of the party looking through a big-ass treasury we found.
Hey, look through that desk and read whatever's in it. Okay.
You walk to the desk and find a letter with a wax seal, and it's addressed to you.
My character can't read. Ooh, what you got there? I tried to pretend to know what it says.
Why don't you just tell them you don't know what it says?
I know they're going to make fun of me.
You know what? Fine. Roll an insight.
Not 20, plus a 3, so 23.
You perfectly depict what it says despite you not being able to read. A player in my Pathfinder campaign was a gnomish oracle named Agda Jarvik, who worshipped a being of his own creation, the Red God. At one point early in the campaign, the party came across a river in heavy rains, and Agda decided now was a good time to uncollapse his collapsible bathtub, flip it over, and just wait out the rain while the rest of the party figured out what to do. While they were deliberating, a couple of perception checks brought to the party's attention that a flash flood was coming, overflowing the riverbank they were standing on, so the party scrambled to reach higher ground. Well, everyone except Agda Jarvik. He had a saying, "The Red God provides!" He was so steadfast in his faith that he believed his deity would save him from anything, so long as he maintained faith, adhered to the tenets he made up, and spread the teachings. To that point, he had swallowed bog muck, drank the ashes of his fallen foes, and eaten unknown plants, passing his fortitude saves every time. So, on that riverbank with a veritable tsunami coming at him, Agda Jarvik stayed under that tub, and by the Red God, he survived. From that day forward, our IRL group believed in the power of the Red God. All praise the Red God. Not sure if dumb, but the one that comes to mind is when I played a small campaign with a few college friends I had met back up with. We were low level, needed to acquire some merchant's ledger for some reason, and needed to get past some sentries at his estate. The bard decided to try to cast sleep on the sentries, so he stealthed up ahead of the group. It was at this point that the player looked at his sheet, cursed under his breath, then sat in silence for about half a second. Then, with a grin, the bard looked at the GM and started singing. We were all theater geeks, so freestyle songs were not uncommon. I wish I could remember the lyrics, but it went something along the lines of, "Go to sleep, close your eyes, go to sleep, you don't have to die," in a soft baritone, climaxing with, "Your wives and your daughters will thank you not to die. Just go to sleep, let us pass by." Then, with the same grin, the bard said, "I roll intimidation." Nat 20. That's fucking cold. As my fighter passed the seemingly asleep guards, a perception let me see that they were fully awake, but faking sleep, with one actually silently sobbing. This is so good. This started the in-game realization that the bard was the scariest man my fighter knew. TLDR, bard forgot he picked another spell over sleep and instead intimidates a contingent of sentries into feigning sleep with a horrifying song that musically could fit in Mary Poppins. I love that imagination. Bit of context. We had just finished a quest to find this lady's cat. She was the headmistress at Hogwarts. My character also had a house elf that could give her bagels. Also, my character really loves cats. She has 12 at home. We were talking to the headmistress and getting ready to head out. My character and another decide that they want the lady's cat. So I have my house elf bake a bagel in the same shape and size as the cat. My friend, the rogue, rolls to switch out the real cat and the bagel one, and they get a nat 20. We leave that place with one more cat. A few sessions later, the lady turns out to be the main villain. She kidnaps us, and while we're being held hostage, we talk a little. Turns out she truly believed that it was a cat and had fed it. She thought it was dead. Fast forward even more, and it turns out that the cat was the real headmistress. Our DM had apparently been mentioning a fancy collar around her neck, but we were so caught up in the idea of stealing the cat that we weren't listening. This happened to me yesterday. I'm a life cleric whose background is sailor. I'm not religious, just really superstitious. If we ever visit an inn, bar, pub, or etc., I will get absolutely smashed and get disadvantages on everything because I'm mad drunk. So one time while we were waiting for the enemy scouts to come looking for our employer, we were kicking it at a bar. I decided that since I had time to kill and I was a sailor, that I would take my kit's 50 feet of rope and make a hammock with it. My DM ruled it would be a sleight of hand dex check. Dex is my dump stat, as in my dex is 6. I rolled a nat 20, so somehow in my drunken stupor over 6 hours, I made a hammock and tied it to some posts in the corner. Got in it and just kind of binge drank grog and rum while humming sea shanties to myself. I also heard a ghost singing in Elvish about how the next town over was totally destroyed and ours was next. I was the only person who understood Elvish. Decided, I was too drunk to really care or get it, and just ordered more grog and rum. Eventually the enemy showed up. They were pirates. My teammates were handling it well enough, so I just kept drinking in my hammock. Eventually, one of the pirates got too close to my hammock, so I got up and hit him in the head with my mace. Rolled double nat 20s with disadvantage. I then rolled max damage. He died in one hit. I just downed my rum, healed my injured teammate, looted the pirates of all their rum, got back in my hammock, and went to sleep. A player in a campaign I was in had a dagger that applied a bleed effect through an enchantment to targets, but that also required the attack to be sufficiently well aimed to activate. I think the DC was 15, so he used it on a massive wooden wall erected by goblins and ogres. On the outskirts of a mining town we were trying to save, they had time to erect and fully fortify because we took so long to get there. We kept getting sidetracked by a seemingly innocent hut or a faint metallic glimmer in a tree. So Guy turns to the DM and says, I want to use my bleed effect on my dagger to dry out the wood to make it easier to burn. A short friendly argument later, and he did, because the DM forgot to include that the enchantment on the dagger only worked on living targets, and we burnt that wood fortress of a wall down. The dagger later made skeletons, air elementals, and stone golems bleed. Stone golems bleed magic mud, by the way. I don't remember what we did with that, though. Amongst many others, ever bottle Lich Blood? I have. That game was fun. I use that enchantment in games I run now. Exactly like it was. In memory of the friends that parted ways IRL, and to see how creative my players will get with such a simple effect. Make the rivers bleed, make the mountains bleed, become the blood god. Oh no, the red god is coming back. All praise the red god. So this was a weird one. The party was going after a nest of goblins. Simple mission, go in, murder, collect loot, save some women. Random player gets cursed by goblin necklace and becomes a grand goblin. Something goblin we made up, don't ask, to start the main quest or to either undo the curse or eventually become the goblin god. Or at least how it should have went. So, they got into the nest and the rogue said, I sneak in to check the place out. I was like, suicide, but okay. She keeps getting high rolls, so she stayed stealthed into the heart of the den. Finds the leader goblin. She rolled stealth to murder the leader with her bow. 20. Gobbo dies. None notice her. They rush out of the room trying to find the killer. She sneaks up to the ladder and takes the necklace. Roll for curse. 20. She retains human form, but all gobbos see her as one of their own, and she has racial trait benefits of gobbos added onto her own. I would eventually make her slowly turn into a gobbo to get the story going, but that's another thing entirely. She goes to sneak out and gets caught due to low roll. Here's where things get weird. She asks, do I have the sexual stamina of a goblin? I replied, yes. And then she said, which I'm going to censor this one word, I roll to struggle snuggle them all to death, because I'm a good boy. Nat 20. She struggle snuggled and killed her way through the entire nest. I only had her roll like 4 times to keep going, cause it was hilarious to me. Each time either 20 or 19, so she just kept going. I told her midway she could just walk out as she looks like a goblin to them, but nope, she wanted to thrust her way out. Eventually got back to the party. Shit was awkward and weird between the party after that. The players found it hilarious though. The paladin of the group had PTSD from seeing it, lol, his pure eyes couldn't handle it. He said, lol. I remember this one time in my campaign, our sorcerer ended up casting fly on our fighter's boar mount with wild magic while fighting a dragon, and it ended up being the one who flew into the dragon and finished it off. And my character, being the only one who wasn't down, of course took all the credit. So I guess that puts a whole new meaning to the saying, when pigs fly. In the first campaign I ever played, a few years ago, my team and I had captured an orc, whom we intended to interrogate. My character, having the highest charisma score, tried to get the orc to talk, by threatening to leave him tied up to starve, and if he'd answer their questions, they'd give him food and later set him free. Unfortunately, I rolled a nat 1 and my plan failed. Then our ranger decided to torture the orc for information by taking my character's familiar, a lizard, put it on the orc's stomach, cover it with a metal pan, and warm it with fire, so that the lizard would start eating away at the orc's stomach in order to escape, which also ultimately failed. What worked, and we effectively got the information we wanted, was the nat 20 our halfling rolled. She tickled him. A halfling tickling an orc with a feather was what got the orc to provide us with the information about his tribe's plans. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here. Thanks for sticking around for this jolly batch of goodness. If you'd like to hear more, then please subscribe, leave a like on the video, and ring that bell so you get notified when we go live or post a video. To submit a story of your own, head on over to r/MrRipper, our subreddit, and leave your story in an existing thread, make your own thread, or just a one-off post. Using a help action, you can click that big face in the middle and come sub to my YouTube channel too, Brian Von VA, your local narrator, where I talk about voice acting goodness while giving y'all some gaming streams to enjoy too. With that said, I wanted to thank every single one of you for hanging in there. To our fans from across the globe, no matter where you are, I know it's getting rough and rocky out there once again, but from me to you, it's gonna get better. The world just needs some time to reboot in a sense. So relax, give yourself a few minutes each day away from social media and the world, and remember, you matter. If you didn't, I wouldn't say it every single time at the end of these videos. So with that said, all the love everyone, and we will see you next time. Be safe, and bye for now.